stop scrolling for a second. Like the video, drop your comment, and stay until the very end. Because this Valentine story isn't just sweet, it's explosive. What started as a romantic moment quickly turned into one of the most talked about pop culture stories of the year. Fans melted, timelines erupted, and within hours, admiration transformed into confusion and disappointment. This is the Valentine that broke the internet, and the decision that left fans divided. On Valentine's Day, a romantic gesture by Travis Kelce toward Taylor Swift sent shockwaves through social media. It wasn't loud or staged, yet it felt cinematic. A simple moment, captured at just the right time, suddenly became viral content across TikTok, Instagram, and X. Swifties zoomed in on every detail, the smile, the body language, the unspoken chemistry, and declared it the most romantic celebrity Valentine in recent memory. The internet reacted instantly. Fan edits multiplied by the minute. Comment sections overflowed with heart emojis, theories, and emotional reactions. For many, it felt like watching a real-life love story unfold in front of millions. But just as the excitement peaked, the mood shifted. Because while the world was celebrating their romance, another headline quietly dropped, and it hit fans hard. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were noticeably absent from the Grammy Awards. Zoom in, replay that moment. One of the biggest nights in music came and went without her. For longtime fans, the Grammys are more than an awards show. They are a symbol, a stage where careers are celebrated, records are broken, and history is written. Expectations were sky-high. Many believed this would be another iconic night for Taylor Swift, another headline moment, another chapter in her legacy. Instead, there was silence. No red carpet appearance, no acceptance speech, no shared spotlight. Disappointment spread fast. Social media timelines flipped from hard-eyed reactions to frustrated posts. Some fans felt let down. Others felt confused. Why skip such a monumental night? Why do it together? And why now, at the peak of public attention? Midway through the conversation, theories took over. Was the viral Valentine moment meant to soften the blow of missing the Grammys? Was this a quiet statement about priorities? Or was it simply two people choosing something personal over something public? Slow the pace. Breathe. This is where the story deepens. Sources close to the couple suggest the decision wasn't spontaneous. Between relentless schedules, constant media pressure, and non-stop public scrutiny, stepping back wasn't an accident. It was a choice. A rare pause in a life lived almost entirely in the spotlight. To some fans, that explanation made sense. To others, it didn't erase the feeling of loss. Because fans don't just watch moments like the Grammys. They emotionally invest in them. And then comes the emotional payoff. As more context surfaced, the narrative shifted again. The Valentine gesture wasn't a distraction. It wasn't a PR move. It was personal. And suddenly, the story stopped being about trophies and appearances, and became about boundaries. About choosing love in a world that constantly demands performance. This wasn't a rejection of music or fans. It was a reminder that even global icons are still human. The Valentine that went viral wasn't just about romance. It was about redefining what matters when the cameras are off. And the Grammy absence? It became a mirror reflecting how deeply fans care and how hard it is to balance public expectation with private life. So now the question is yours to answer. Did this Valentine moment make you believe in celebrity love stories all over again? Or did skipping the Grammys leave you disappointed? Comment below, share your take, and follow for more, because this story isn't over yet. And the next chapter might be even bigger. And the conversation didn't stop there. As hours passed, the narrative kept evolving, growing heavier, deeper, and more emotionally charged. Fans began replaying old interviews, slowing down clips, zooming in on past statements that once felt harmless but now seemed loaded with meaning. Every pause, every smile, every previous lyric suddenly felt like a clue. The internet did what it always does when silence appears. It filled the gaps. Some fans argued this absence was louder than any acceptance speech. In a year dominated by relentless touring, record-breaking numbers, and constant headlines. Skipping the Grammys felt almost rebellious, a quiet refusal to play the expected role. And for a certain segment of Swifties, that realization changed everything. What first looked like disappointment slowly turned into reflection. Because when you strip away the glitter, the trophies, and the flashing lights, the story becomes uncomfortably human. This wasn't the first time fans felt conflicted. It was simply the first time the conflict was impossible to ignore. On one side, the desire to witness greatness in real time. On the other, the understanding that greatness comes at a cost. A cost paid in sleep, privacy, and moments that never make it to camera. Social media algorithms fed the tension. One swipe showed a viral Valentine clip looping endlessly, romantic music swelling in the background. The next swipe showed empty red carpet footage, slowed down for dramatic effect, captions asking the same haunting question, why weren't they there? The contrast was jarring. Love versus legacy, intimacy versus expectation. Then came the pattern interrupt, a shift in tone. Fans began sharing stories of their own. Posts appeared from people who said the moment made them rethink their priorities, who admitted they once chased validation the way celebrities chase awards, only to realize how empty it felt. Comment sections turned from outrage into conversation, from accusation into empathy. The energy changed and you could feel it. Still, not everyone was ready to let go. Hardcore fans insisted the Grammys mattered not just symbolically, but historically. They spoke about representation, about the importance of showing up, about what it means to claim space in an industry that rarely gives it freely. To them, absence felt like surrender, even if it was temporary. And their frustration was real, valid, and loud. But here's where the payoff hits hardest. Because in choosing to be absent, a different message was sent. One that couldn't be scripted. A message that said success doesn't have to look the same every time. That fulfillment doesn't always arrive wrapped in applause. That sometimes the most powerful statement is made off stage. The Valentine moment, when replayed now, feels different. Less like a viral clip, more like a quiet thesis statement. A reminder that behind every icon is a person navigating pressure we can barely imagine. And maybe that's why it resonated so deeply. Not because it was perfect, but because it felt real. As days pass, the headlines will move on. Another award show will come. Another viral moment will replace this one. But for fans who lived this in real time, something shifted. The line between spectator and participant blurred. The relationship between artist and audience evolved, even if just slightly. This wasn't just celebrity news. It was a cultural moment. One that forced people to confront uncomfortable truths about entitlement, admiration, and the cost of constant visibility. And now, as the noise slowly settles, one thing becomes clear. The Valentine that went viral didn't just melt hearts. Cracked open a bigger conversation. One about love in the spotlight. About choosing presence over performance. About walking away from the stage, even when the world expects you to stand there and smile. So before you scroll away, ask yourself this. If you were given everything the world says you should want, would you still choose the moment no one else gets to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share the story. Stay tuned, because moments like this don't fade quietly, and the impact always lasts longer than the headline. As the days rolled on, the story refused to cool down. Instead, it matured. What began as a headline slowly transformed into a discussion that stretched beyond fandoms and timelines, reaching people who weren't even regular followers of pop culture. News outlets reframed the angle. Analysts weighed in. Commentators stopped talking about romance alone and started talking about meaning. In the middle of it all stood Taylor Swift, an artist whose every move has been documented for nearly 2 decades. For many fans, her career has been a shared journey, one marked by eras, reinventions, and public milestones. That's what made this moment feel different. The absence wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. And deliberate choices, especially from figures of this magnitude, always carry weight. The more people talked, the clearer it became that this wasn't about a single award show. It was about access. Fans have grown accustomed to seeing everything: behind-the-scenes footage, surprise appearances, intimate lyrics that feel like diary entries. Over time, that closeness quietly reshaped expectations. When someone shares so much, the world begins to assume it deserves everything. And then suddenly the door didn't fully open. For some, that boundary felt like rejection. For others, it felt overdue. The relationship with Travis Kelce added another layer. Coming from a world equally demanding but vastly different, he represents a kind of grounded contrast, someone used to pressure, yet less entangled in the machinery of celebrity storytelling. Together, they became a symbol not just of romance, but of balance, or at least the pursuit of it. Late-night talk shows debated whether this marked a new phase in how megastars handle visibility. Entertainment writers suggested a shift was happening in real time. Fewer appearances, fewer explanations, more silence. And silence, in an age of constant output, feels radical. Scroll through the comments long enough and you'll see it all. Admiration, anger, defensiveness, understanding. People projecting their own experiences onto a couple they've never met. That's the power and the danger of parasocial connection. When the story pauses, the audience fills the space with themselves. What's undeniable is this: the Valentine moment only amplified everything. Had there been no viral clip, no shared smile, no romantic snapshot, the Grammy absence might have been a footnote. Instead, the contrast sharpened it. Public love, private choice. Seen together, they formed a narrative arc that felt intentional, even if it wasn't scripted that way. Industry insiders quietly noted that skipping one event doesn't erase a legacy. If anything, it underscores how secure that legacy already is. You don't walk away from the stage unless you're confident you can return whenever you choose. That confidence is rare and powerful. As the noise fades, the story settles into something more reflective. Not a scandal, not a controversy, a moment, one that revealed how fame evolves, how audiences change, and how even the most celebrated figures eventually redraw their lines. This wasn't about disappointing fans. It was about redefining presence, about reminding the world that choice still exists at the highest level, even when millions are watching. And maybe that's why this story lingers. Because beneath the romance, beneath the awards, beneath the outrage, there's a question that hits closer to home than any headline ever could. When the world expects everything from you, what do you choose to keep for yourself? That question doesn't fade with the news cycle. It echoes, and long after the viral clips stop looping, it's the part people remember. What made this moment impossible to ignore was how deeply it resonated beyond the usual celebrity cycle. This wasn't just trending news, it became a mirror. People weren't only talking about where they were or weren't seen. They were talking about what it means to choose presence over applause in a world that never stops watching. At the center of the conversation remained Taylor Swift, a figure whose career has been built not just on music, but on visibility. For years, her life unfolded in eras, each one carefully documented, analyzed, and archived by millions. Fans grew alongside her, learned to read between the lines of lyrics, interviews, and appearances. That level of intimacy created something powerful, but also fragile. When expectations aren't met, the emotional fallout is immediate. The Grammy absence felt personal to some because it interrupted a long-standing rhythm. Show up, shine, win, repeat. Breaking that rhythm forced people to confront an uncomfortable truth. The script they expected was never guaranteed. It only existed because it had always been followed before. Meanwhile, the Valentine moment kept circulating. Algorithms refused to let it die. Every refresh brought another angle, another edit, another slowed-down clip with captions asking viewers to look closer. And the closer people looked, the more layered the story felt. What once appeared as a simple romantic gesture now seemed symbolic, almost defiant in its softness. With Travis Kelce beside her, the narrative subtly shifted from individual achievement to shared decision-making. This wasn't about one star missing a stage. It was about two people choosing alignment over obligation. In an industry that thrives on solo moments, that choice stood out. Cultural commentators began framing it differently. Not as absence, but as recalibration. Not as disappointment, but as evolution. Fame, they argued, is entering a new phase, one where constant availability is no longer the ultimate currency. where withholding can be just as powerful as appearing. Fans remained split, but something softened. The outrage dulled into debate. The debate turned into reflection. People asked whether their expectations had crossed into entitlement, whether admiration had quietly morphed into ownership. Those questions don't have easy answers, and that's precisely why this moment lingered. What's clear is that this story didn't need a scandal to become unforgettable. It relied on contrast, noise versus quiet, stage versus stillness, public celebration versus private choice. That tension carried more emotional weight than any trophy shot ever could. As headlines move on, the imprint remains. This Valentine wasn't just viral, it was revealing. It exposed how deeply audiences are invested, how fragile the balance between access and autonomy truly is, and how powerful a single decision can be when the world expects predictability. And that's the final note this story leaves behind. Not heartbreak, not controversy, but a pause. A reminder that even in a culture obsessed with constant output, choosing when not to appear can say more than any spotlight ever could. And yet, even after all the think pieces, the debates, and the emotional threads stretching across platforms, the story continued to unfold in quieter ways. No official statement, no long explanation, just absence and presence coexisting in a way that felt intentional. In a culture trained to expect constant clarification, that silence became its own form of communication. Observers noted how rare that is in modern celebrity life. Usually, moments like this are followed by carefully worded interviews, subtle PR corrections, or at least a well-timed appearance to reset the narrative. This time, there was none of that. The spotlight was left on, but the stage remained empty. For many fans, that's when the realization truly landed. The relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce wasn't being performed. It was being lived. And that distinction, subtle as it may seem, shifted the emotional weight of everything that came before. The Valentine moment no longer felt like content. It felt like context. Across fan communities, conversations grew more introspective. Long posts replaced short reactions. People talked about burnout, about pressure, about what it's like to be expected to show up at your best every single time, without pause, without rest. Some admitted they initially felt entitled to that Grammy appearance. Others confessed they didn't realize how deeply they had tied their own excitement to someone else's visibility. This is where the story quietly deepened. Because beneath the romance and the disappointment was a universal tension most people recognize: the conflict between external validation and internal peace. Awards represent recognition. Presence represents belonging. Choosing one over the other is never simple, especially when millions are watching. Industry insiders pointed out that moments like these often become inflection points. Not immediately, not loudly, but gradually. They change how artists approach public life. They reset boundaries. They teach audiences, sometimes uncomfortably, that access is not guaranteed. That admiration doesn't equal ownership. What stood out most was how the narrative refused to collapse into scandal. There were no leaked arguments, no dramatic fallout, no controversy to feed on, just a decision and the collective reaction to it. In a media environment built on extremes, that restraint felt almost radical. The Valentine clip continued to resurface, but its tone shifted. Early edits were drenched in fantasy and idealism. Later ones felt quieter, more reflective. Less look at this perfect moment, and more look at what they chose. The difference mattered. As weeks pass, this moment will likely be remembered not for what didn't happen, but for what it revealed. It exposed the fragile contract between public figures and the people who love them. It highlighted how quickly celebration can turn into expectation, and how hard it is to disappoint people who feel emotionally invested. But it also showed something else: that choosing yourself doesn't always require a grand statement. Sometimes it's as simple as not showing up, as allowing the world to feel confused, as letting silence do the work words usually try to control. In the end, this wasn't a love story meant to be consumed. It was a boundary story meant to be noticed. And that's why it lingered long after the headlines faded. Not because it gave everyone what they wanted, but because it forced people to sit with what they didn't get. And in that pause, something changed.